Castlevania Symphony of the Night is one of the most storied speedrunning games of all time. The world record started as a glitchless run that took nearly an hour to complete back in 2005, and is now able to be beaten in under 16 minutes. And in the past 20 years, many optimizations have been discovered that helped take that time lower and lower. Things like new skips, new glitches, and even new movement techniques all contributed to where the game stands today, with the current world record of 15 minutes and 35 seconds. But in the past few years, the any percent run has remained stagnant, with pretty much no movement happening on the leaderboards in months. I can feel the momentum slowing down, as nothing new has changed in the run since my last major discovery of saving nearly a minute by playing in luck mode, which you can learn more about in this video here. But perhaps soon, that will all change, and all because of this. A movement technique lost to time was finally rediscovered and understood by the wider speedrunning community. This is the vertical wing smash. But what exactly is this tech, and what can it do to help save time for speedruns? Well, to understand this, we first need to understand how movement works in Symphony of the Night. In the any percent run of Symphony of the Night, the only major movement upgrade acquired is the Soul of Bat relic. This relic allows Alucard to transform into a bat, which can fly around in 8 different directions. And a somewhat secret movement option is also available to our batty friend called the Wing Smash spell. This spell is done by performing this complicated input and will cause Alucard to fly forward very quickly while fully invincible. This spell only lasts for a brief period of time, but can be chained back to back, which allows Alucard to fly for even longer periods of time, so long as you can continue to perform the Wing Smash input about once every second. And you can angle this Wing Smash slightly upward or slightly down, but normally you are always forced to move forward. But when playing the game normally outside of a speedrun, Alucard isn't lacking for fast vertical movement options, when relics like Leapstone and Gravity Boots exist. But without those options, any percent runners are limited to either big open rooms where they can wing smash diagonally upward, or slowly flying around in bat form. But with vertical wing smashing, we have a whole new tool to work with, which got me very excited to explore all the possibilities of this new tech. So yeah, it only saves half a second. Okay, is this video really about a half-second time save? Well, yes, but also this video is about more than just that. I think the story behind this tech is worth sharing, as it shows how speedrunning communities discover and implement new tech into their runs. It also shows how, no matter how solved the speedrun may seem to be, there could always be more around the corner just waiting to be discovered. Or in this case, rediscovered. And spoilers, this vertical wing smash isn't the only rediscovered tech that I'll be talking about in this video. But before I get too ahead of myself, I should explain the context and the history behind the vertical wing smash and why I've been obsessing over it for the last few weeks, since it's been rediscovered. And the reason I keep saying rediscovered is because I can remember the first time I ever saw a vertical wing smash performed in a speedrun. It was showcased partway through my favorite tool-assisted speedrun of all time, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, All Relics and Bosses by Foregone Moose, released in July 16th of 2014. So if this tech had been seen all the way back in 2014, why did nobody look into it further until now, nearly 12 years later? Well, I can't really speak for other runners at the time, as most of the active runners from back then are not really around these days. But for me, I always assumed that the technique was TAS only. And not in the sense that it's too hard to do consistently, which it kind of is, but I'll get into that later. No, I assumed this tech required being able to press both left and right on the D-pad at the same time. The reason I assumed this is because the TAS used left plus right tech all throughout the run, and I assumed it was just another one of those silly interactions that happens in the game if you're able to press both directions at the same time. And in normal speedruns of the game, pressing left plus right at the same time is banned, as it requires either a broken or modified controller to be able to perform this tech on an original console. TAS runs, on the other hand, follow a completely different set of rules, so it's not uncommon to see TAS runs use all available advantages they can when trying to go fast, even left plus right. And before I get some smartass in the comments, no, you can't press left on the D-pad and right on the analog stick in order to get a true left plus right input to happen. On the PlayStation version of the game, you can't use analog sticks at all. It completely locks out the controller if you turn analog mode on. And in future versions of the game that have both analog sticks and D-pad available, the game will prioritize one direction over the other, and it doesn't actually send both inputs at the same time. So if you want to try and correct me in the comments, you're going to have to do better than that. With that out of the way, let's talk about why we're even talking about this vertical wing smash in the first place. Because it was very possible that I would have never looked into this tech at all, but on February 27th, 2026, at 1:48 p.m., Major Seaman, yes, that's actually his name, posted this clip to the Symphony of the Night Discord server. The seafaring serviceman actually did it, and without left plus right, I couldn't believe it. And while a lot of the members of the community were confused, I knew at this point my old ass was probably the only few people left in the community that actually had ever seen a vertical wing smash before. So I knew I had to investigate further. And sadly, the author of the task had been inactive in the community for years now, so it'd be very difficult to just ask him out of the blue how he did it back in the day and expect any sort of response. But thankfully, since this task was published to taskvideos.org, I knew I could download the task file and investigate every input frame by frame for myself. And that's exactly what I did. And I recorded and created a slowed down GIF with all of the inputs visible and posted it to the Discord. And I also noted that I had a suspicion that the downright input before starting the bat transformation would be key to unlocking this ancient tech for ourselves. And less than 30 minutes later, Classic Advent, another godlike SotN speedrunner, seemed to have figured out a little bit more about how this tech is performed. And that, oddly enough, it only works while facing to the right, and chaining vertical wing smashes seem to be impossible. The second wing smash always forces you to start flying horizontally. This news was tough to hear as it will greatly limit the possibilities of the tech, but surely it's still somewhat useful here, right? I mean, Advent even created a showcase of how it could be used in the chapel. However, in the same message, even he said it seemed useless. And while some were feeling discouraged about this tech, after some time, the community dug more into it, and SotN scientist Mozilla was able to find this. So there's a strange thing in the game's code where if Alucard is crouching or stuck, and then you transform into Bat, the game moves Alucard's hitbox down to compensate for the fact that you're meant to be crouching. And this happens over the course of 12 frames. You can even see this happening without a hitbox viewer if you notice that the camera pans down right after transforming into Bat while crouching. So this 12-frame timer is somehow the key to this vertical wing smash tech. This is because there seems to be a bug happening related to this hitbox timer. During the timer, the game checks to see if the player's velocity is greater than 0, and if it is, it sets it to 0. I guess this makes sense, since you're supposed to be like crouched or stuck or whatever, you're not supposed to be sliding around while transforming. But since they're checking for the player's velocity and not the absolute value of their velocity, that means they only stop you from gaining momentum while crouched if you're facing right, as that is considered the positive velocity direction in game. So if you perform a wing smash within 12 frames during this timer ticking down, while facing to the right, the game sets your velocity to 0 and cancels out all of your horizontal movement during the wing smash. But it doesn't stop the wing smash from going up and down, and this is how we get the vertical wing smash to happen. But 12 frames is not a lot of time to perform this input, and there's no way to buffer any of this input during the transformation animation. That means you have 12 frames to perform an input that, if done frame perfectly, takes 8 frames to perform, leaving only 4 frames of leniency over the course of the entire spell. Needless to say, it's pretty difficult. And funny enough, inside the game itself, it's actually very easy to see vertical wing smashes happen, even when playing casually. And it's all thanks to this guy right here. This is Doppelganger. You can fight him up to 2 times throughout the game, and he is a carbon copy of the player character's moves and abilities, including the ability to transform into Bat, and even Wing Smash. And he will do exactly this if you back him into a corner. But funny enough, the animation of getting knocked onto the ground is the same type of animation that also causes that 12-frame timer to start, which means if you knock Doppelganger into the corner while he's facing to the right, he will wing smash in place, just like a vertical wing smash, teasing that this tech had been possible ever since the game's release back in 1997. If only we had just asked him how he did it. It could have saved me a ton of time researching for this video. So now with this tech understood, it was up to us to figure out exactly where it could be useful. I did some testing on my own and found that anytime you want to fly straight up in SotN, it's actually about half a second faster to do a vertical wing smash instead. And I thought to myself, well, that exact thing happens all the time in the run, so surely there's going to be plenty of spots to use this tech, right? Well, since this tech can only be performed after collecting the Soul of Bat, I went to that point in the run with one of my practice saves, and moved through every room in the game and asked myself if this could be an applicable spot for a vertical wing smash to save some time. And after going room by room, the first room that had any sort of promise is this room right here in the clock tower. So yeah, actually, I completely forgot. I did spend a lot of time testing in this room here in the outer wall, and I even came up with this really cool task strat that looked like it could have been possibly faster, but after looking at it side by side with what the normal strat looks like, it ended up being ever so slightly slower, which is honestly disappointing. Normally here, you just jump and transform into Bat before taking a damage boost against this Harpy, sending us to the right onto this cog, which sets up beautifully for an angled wing smash into the next room. Here I figured we could just replace the slow jump and transform with a vertical wing smash, but I soon ran into some trouble. Okay, and here's where things get fun. Quick little vertical wing smash for the boys. Will this knock me the correct direction? No.
Is it because the harpy's facing the wrong direction? If so, this is like really bad. So this won't work because I can't get the correct damage boost here. Is there any way that I can get the harpy to be in the other side of it? I don't think I can get the harpy to turn around at this point. Huge, hold on. We've solved it. I still get hit the wrong way? Make it make sense. What? Why? Is it because the harpy started the screen facing to the left?
Okay, well, that's a bummer. The harpies just won't send you to the right direction if you do a vertical wing smash. So I had to keep looking for more options. And you guys already got spoiled on this earlier, so you can probably guess where this is going. The next room that requires slowly flying up in bat form is this room right here at the start of Castle Keep. But for whatever reason, this door is slightly elevated off the ground. And since the vertical wing smash requires that you start from a crouching position on the ground, that means we would have to walk off the edge, fall down, and then vertical wing smash. And sadly, those actions take just enough time for this tech to not be worth it in this particular spot. So that room was a bust too. So I kept searching, room by room, over and over, looking for any sort of place where maybe, just maybe, the tech could be useful. It's the last room in the game. It's the last room in the game. Every single room checked. And the only room where it possibly could save time is the very last room in the game. Every other room I tested had some other option that was just barely slightly faster than vertical wing smashing. Except for here, one room before the final boss fight of the game. I was devastated. Over and over again, I was shocked to see how using vertical wing smashes would just be ever so slightly slower in every spot I could think of. I knew it had potential to save time, but the layout of these rooms was just ever so slightly set up in a way where it just wouldn't work. I guess there was a reason that no one looked into this tech after all these years. Was all this time and effort just a waste? Well, no. See, I did actually discover real time save, regardless of how small it actually is. And granted, it is going to be very difficult to perform right at the end of a run that is already a very difficult run to get up to this point, but it is technically time save at the end of the day. And more importantly, it helped me learn a few things about the inner workings of my favorite game, and I grew a deeper appreciation for how well the speedrun is already optimized. Sometimes it's easy to forget that the strats we've been using for years are already very good, and there's a reason we've been using them all this time. But this also gave me an idea for how a different technique could actually push this game even further. So the vertical wing smash turned out to not be that impressive in the grand scheme of things, but it did help put some things into perspective about how much time save there is left in the SotN any percent run. And that's a tough thing to measure, because sadly, we don't have a task run that we can compare ourselves to. The task runs of SotN use tech that is actually impossible for humans to perform. Things like left plus right are banned, and things like RNG manipulation are actually impossible outside of TASs. And it would take a whole video to explain exactly why that is, and I do plan on making that video soon, so, subscribe if you want to learn more about SotN's crazy RNG system. But yeah, since we don't have a task to compare ourselves to, we're kind of left in the dark as to what a real perfect SotN speedrun would look like. But just like the vertical wing smash, there is still more we can learn from our tool-assisted friends. This is called a quick grab. This overwrites the relic acquisition animation with the much faster summon spirit spell animation. And this tech is used all throughout tool-assisted speedruns of the game. And this is yet another tech that had been known about for over 10 years, but no one has ever attempted to perform this in a speedrun. Well, that is except for one legendary speedrunner. This is Durdrak, a SotN speedrunner and randomizer player who has been at the forefront of pushing the technical aspects of this game to its limits. He has spent countless hours practicing niche tech that many people would consider useless, but in doing so has trained himself to perform all sorts of crazy tech in both his randomizer runs and his speedruns. And yes, that includes these quick grab animation cancels. And seeing Durdrak go for this tech, I was at first pretty doubtful that it would ever be consistent enough to save time or be worth it in real speedruns. Maybe being an old head who was just used to the way things have always been blinded me from the possibility of adopting this tech for myself. The tech wasn't new, mind you, but just very underexplored for real-time speedrunners. I remember hearing that the trick was frame perfect when I asked about it back in the day. And mind you, frame perfect is a term that has a very specific meaning, but was thrown around a lot back then without actual evidence or testing. So as a new runner at the time, I just took that info as fact that it would be too hard to perform for a real speedrun. Editor's note again here. So all this stuff happened so long ago that it's very possible that I'm completely misremembering the events here. I couldn't find any specific conversations logged in the Discord, but it's very possible that some of those logs are missing, or like I said, maybe I just made it all up. I don't know. This happened like so long ago. Anyways, back to the video. Well, here we are many years later, and Durdrak is just whipping out this tech consistently for months now. So I said screw it. If there's time save to be had here, I'm not just going to take it for granted, I'm going to investigate further and figure this out for myself. And it turns out this trick is not even close to frame perfect at all. In my testing, it turns out you have about a 3-frame window to slide into the relic and perform the spell to get the animation cancel. And with this tech, you could save up to 50 frames per animation cancel. And this is something that I know for a fact can be used multiple times throughout a run. There are 4 mandatory relic pickups that you have to do in any percent. Those being the Soul of Wolf, Form of Mist, Soul of Bat, and Fairy Card Relic. And all 4 of these can be collected with the Quick Grab tech, meaning there's over 3 seconds of time save available in just this tech alone. Hey, combine that with the Vertical Wing Smash at the end, and you got yourself over 4 seconds of time save. So at the end of this journey of diving into these lost techniques, I learned a few things. I learned that sometimes it is worth investigating old or forgotten tech, in case it's actually more useful than previously perceived. I learned that SotN is a game that still has more discoveries and optimizations left to find. And I also learned that even though I've been running this game for 12 years now, I still have more to learn, and more reasons to perfect my speedruns. And soon, I'll be doing just that. Hey, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe, as it's a free way to help the channel grow, and I always greatly appreciate it. And if you want to watch me push my skills in this game even further with world record speedrun attempts, make sure to follow my live channels with Dragon Blitz Daily on YouTube and twitch.tv/DragonBlitz. I stream on both channels pretty frequently, and I'd love to see you in the chat sometime. And lastly, I want to thank my Patreon supporters. They help make videos like this possible, and I'd like to give a special thanks to Jokum Palm, Suchioto, Soma Jean, Crazy Four Blades, Rhinesguard 1, Yoam Chris 427, and Christopher.